In the world of AI, things move fast. We're always talking about evolution. But every once in a while, a story comes along that's just different. It's not evolution, it's a full-on revolution. An event so wild, it makes everyone stop and rethink the entire game. And today, we're breaking down one of those stories. The story kicks off with this number, $200 million. And that's annual recurring revenue, the predictable income a company can count on every year. Now, to give you some perspective, most startups throw a huge party if they hit 1 million in their first year. This is a whole other universe. And yeah, here's the real kicker. They pulled this off in just over a year, from launching to a $200 million run rate with a tiny team of only about 100 people. This is, and I'm not exaggerating, very likely the fastest climb to that milestone in the history of software. So the big question is, how on earth did this AI video creation platform, a company called Lovable, manage this kind of mind-bending growth in a space that's already getting pretty crowded? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack. Okay, so the answer really starts with their head of growth, Elena Verna. She's basically a legend in the industry. But when she joined Lovable, she had this shocking realization. All the old rules, all the proven strategies that she used for years at huge companies like Miro and SurveyMonkey, suddenly, they were completely obsolete. Just let that sink in for a second. We're talking about someone with over 15 years of experience at the top of her game, and she's saying only 30, maybe 40% of everything she'd learned was still useful. The rest of her playbook? Useless, thrown right out the window. This wasn't a small adjustment. This was a complete and total reset. So what does that shift actually look like? Well, in her previous jobs, Alina spent about 95% of her time on optimization, fine-tuning what was already there. But at Lovable, it's completely flipped. 95% of her time is now pure innovation, creating brand new growth engines from the ground up. See, in the new world of AI, you don't really win by optimizing. You win by constantly reinventing. So if the old playbook is totally dead, what's the new one? Well, Lovable runs on a completely new set of growth levers, and trust me, they are radically different from what you might expect. All right, lever number 1, build in public. Forget about long, quiet development cycles. Lovable's whole strategy is to ship new features all the time, sometimes daily, and then talk about it. Their team, their founders, they're constantly on social media, creating this nonstop buzz. Their speed becomes its own marketing tool. People literally check in just to see, okay, what did Lovable build today? It's brilliant. But that's just the first piece of the puzzle. The second lever, well, this one is the most counterintuitive, and it's what Elena calls their absolute secret sauce for growth. It's a philosophy of radical generosity. Now, you have to remember, in the AI world, every time a user clicks a button, it costs the company real money in computing power. So the normal business instinct is to put up a paywall, and fast. Lovable does the exact opposite. They see free access not as a cost, but as their single most effective form of marketing. This creates what they call the generosity flywheel. It's so clever. It all starts by giving away product credits like candy. A user wants to run a hackathon? The answer is always yes. Here, take what you need. This empowers those users, right? It turns them into your biggest fans and your best marketers. And that, in turn, fuels this incredible word-of-mouth growth, which brings in new users, and the whole cycle starts all over again, spinning faster and faster. No ad campaign on earth could ever match it. So these strategies are clearly working like crazy. But why are they so essential right now? It's because the fundamental nature of the software market has changed. This isn't just a new playbook for one company. It's a playbook for an entirely new reality. Elena puts it this way. The old idea of finding product market fit and then just scaling it for years, that's dead. In the age of AI, you are on a treadmill, and you have to recapture your product market fit about every 3 months. And here's what that 3-month cycle feels like on the ground. In month 1, a new AI model drops, and it completely changes what's possible. By month 2, your customers' expectations have already caught up to that new reality, which means by month 3, if you haven't reinvented your product, you're already obsolete. It's a relentless, high-speed cycle. Now, this treadmill is being driven by 2 forces moving at an insane speed. First, the underlying technology, the AI models themselves, are advancing at a breakneck pace. And second, because of that, consumer expectations are changing faster than ever before. A feature that was absolute magic 6 months ago is just expected today. So what's the key takeaway from all of this? If you're building anything in this new era, there's a new mantra you absolutely have to live by. For decades, the goal in tech was always to ship a minimum viable product, an MVP. Just get something functional out the door and iterate on it. In a world of infinite, cheap, AI-powered software, that's just not enough anymore. The new standard is the minimum lovable product, an MLP. And this isn't just some clever phrase. It's baked right into their culture. At Lovable, the rule is simple. If it's not lovable, we don't ship it. That emotional connection, that feeling of delight, it's not a nice-to-have feature. It's now a core requirement for survival. And this brings us right to the core lesson of the new AI playbook. When technology makes building functional software cheap and easy, viability becomes the bare minimum. It's just table stakes. The only real defensible advantage, the new competitive moat, is lovability. And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. As the cost of creating software approaches zero and the supply becomes nearly infinite, is creating a product that people truly love the only sustainable competitive advantage left? Is that the only moat that can't just be copied overnight?